Please welcome to the stage the Master of Ceremonies, Gustavo Allegret.
Thank you all. We are about to start the fourth block of the first day of Concordia Annual Summit here at the West Stage. And it's time for the strategic dialogue, the P3 Impact Award Strategic Dialogue. The award was created by Concordia, the University of Virginia Darden School Institute for Business and Society, the State Department's Office of Global Partnership. And the objective of the award has been, since the beginning, recognizing and honor leading public-private partnerships that improve communities in the world. I've seen many presentations in the previous year, and they are amazing. It's difficult. I cannot imagine how judges can select one among all of them. We have 5 finalists. And first of all, I would like to welcome our judges that are already on the first row of the table. All of them women. So let's give them a round of applause, please. Allison Goldberg, Naomi Nwokolo, Payal Dalal, and Sandra Sorial. Thank you for your job. It's not easy, but I'm sure that your criteria and common sense are going to help us to choose the best and the finalists. And welcome to the stage, Thomas Debass, Vidya Mani, Hanne LeCount, and our esteemed finalists of this 2024 P3 Impact Award.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for that introduction. Hello, everyone. Hello. All right, I love this setting, by the way, and this is, I feel like I'm in a jazz club, so
yeah, we were going
let's do some jazz right now, yeah? That's awesome. So my name is Thomas Debass. I work for the U.S. Department of State. We've been a long collaborator of Concordia and Darden, so first I want to thank Concordia once again in the 11th year, hosting this awesome, every year they raise the bar in that way, so it's a pleasure to be here. I mean, the context I just want to start with, obviously, is the last 10 years, this is our 11th year, and the last decade was a decade of experimentation. We were just trying to make sure that partnerships are known and they are a thing that we do to actually address global challenges. And this year that we're kicking off the next decade, no pressure on our finalists this year, this is a year of scale. How do we make sure that we've experimented, we have different models, and our academic partners have seen what works, what doesn't work, and then what's the next decade of scale in that sense. So that's the most important thing, the other thing. The other thing is, obviously, there's a lot of talk about emerging technologies, about AI and what have you. And one of the things that reminded me about that conversation about AI, and I saw this data point around how, what do they call it, the Magnificent Seven, these 7 companies, which are in trillion-dollar in capital and market caps, they're greater than the GDPs of an entire continent and entire big, even industrialized nations. With these emergence of new AI companies that are emerging, or technology companies that are emerging, also the new ones, that gives us an opportunity that these institutions, these organizations, will be a great partner to solve these really wicked challenges that all our finalists are trying to address in a way that it's not just about the market cap that you have, but what market solutions do you have? So they can collaborate with institutions like the Department of State or other public institutions to make that happen. So it is within that context that I want you to understand that you are in the beginning of a new decade that we're trying to kick off with the P3 Impact Award. And if you have not been involved, get in touch with us. Support these finalists who are about to show you amazing solutions that they've been working on. So this is not just a show for you to say, awesome. It's for you to say, inspired to say, how do I support them? So that's the main reason the Department of State is still in this game, so to speak. And it just, on the emerging, our Secretary Blinken was just at an AI event, and I'm quoting him literally this minutes after he said it. And one of the things he said was, P3s are the secret sauce for the success we will have in the future. So these sauces are being made by these amazing chefs that these organizations are putting together. So on that note, I'll pass to my colleagues to kind of kick off the further conversations on this.
Thank you, Tomas. For anyone who knows me, you know I love a good food pun, so I just really deeply appreciate that. I'm going to walk you through what our journey today looks like as we get started on that decade of innovation and scale. This is the culmination of a year-long process, as Gustavo had mentioned, where we have 4 esteemed judges reviewing applicants from around the world as they spoke about challenges that they undertook and the power of partnerships, of good governance, of sustainable fundraising or funding, of all of the different elements that go into a resilient public-private partnership. We have the best, there's a bug in front of me, sorry. We have the best and the brightest here with our finalists. And what we'll be doing today is sharing with you all and our live stream viewers their innovations, their work, their models. We'll also get into a conversation with our esteemed judging panel about why, how, and what challenges they might have encountered, how they overcame them. And the aim here, the aim with this particular Practicalities of Partnership Building session that we do every year here at Concordia is to teach. It's to inform, it's to celebrate, to be sure, but it's to scale your ideas and bring them into other models of partnering so that the global community can collectively ensure that public-private partnerships are seen as a viable way forward towards addressing complex social and climate and governance challenge sets. So we're here to learn, we're here to listen, we're here to ask questions, and the aim here then is for our judges to go into conclave following this session. They will select who the winner is, and that will be announced tomorrow morning at the top of the session on the east stage here at Concordia, so at roughly 9:05. Set your clocks. With that, that's what we'll be doing today. It's such an important piece to what Concordia does here as a platform to advance market-led solutions. But I want to, before we turn over, I want to hear from Vidya, because Darden has been such an amazing partner to this, and the whole aim of why Concordia and the U.S. Department of State partnered with an academic institution is to, again, to teach, to share that knowledge, to scale it out. So tell us about the kids these days. What are they learning? Why are you on this stage?
Why I'm on the stage? So it's a P3, P1, P2. There has to be a third person here, right, to make all of this work. You know, when we go into the classroom, one of Darden's mission is to build responsible leaders. And that sounds great. The question is, how do we do it? And unless we walk the talk, unless we show that we are making strides, we use something that we are good at and extend it out to someone with a mission, we can't fulfill our own mission here. So when we partner with Department of State, GP, right, with that mission that you have, and with Concordia, we bring together both policy and the mission of the organization and the academic rigor that we have to say, this is how we want to get started and get everything going. So the applications come in, someone has to process them, so that we get to this stage where we are on the stage and celebrating the achievements. But trust me, when each application comes in, it gives us so much pleasure and joy to read, because that in itself, that you have a P3 is an achievement on its own. We go through the judging process. We have criteria, consistent criteria, because how do you think we take up something from healthcare and something with an AI implementation and technology that's, you know, getting education? How do you compare these two things? So that's the piece that we bring in, to bring a common platform to judge, and then we come up with the finalists here. But we also are looking back 10 years. So they say the teens are the growing pains. We're looking back at all the applications that have come in to say what works, what does not work, where do we need support, where can we push further. That's what we are hoping to hear. But this is not about me, not about us, it's about them. Yeah. So I'm going to hand it back to you.
Fantastic, and I'm going to quickly hand it over to Trang, who is going to speak to Plastic with Purpose, creating a sustainable circular economy for plastic waste in Vietnam. Trang? We're going to hear from your video first, and then we're going to invite you to the podium where you will be on the hot seat.
cái nghề này nó khó khăn lắm chị, đòi hỏi phải yêu thích yêu nghề. Đi cái nghề này là vất vả, thời gian rồi mình phải nhiều lúc mình cũng có chủ động được. Dạ, cái khi mình mua đồ nhiều mình chở đồ cồng kềnh lắm, chở đồ nhiều lúc mà bị ngã xe luôn á. Công việc thì vất vả nhưng mà cũng kiếm được ít đồng. Đường nghề này mấy cô mấy chú hay nói là nghề mấy bà chai bao lắm, nhưng mà những đồ tái chế gì được thì mình cứ mua thôi. Mình giúp được bảo vệ môi trường.
Plastics are everywhere. Every year, we produce more than 450 million tons of plastics. And every year, more than 20 million tons of plastic waste leaks into aquatic ecosystems, polluting lakes, rivers, and seas, poisoning our world slowly. Welcome to Da Nang in Vietnam. Amongst the nearly 150 tons of plastic waste being produced daily in Da Nang, less than 15% are recycled. The rest, mostly low-value single-use plastics, ends up in landfills or is burned, exacerbating environmental concerns due to its proximity to the ocean and damaging local marine ecosystems. Informal waste workers, like Ms. Nguyat, work in challenging and unsafe conditions to collect high-value plastics, but the lower-grade plastics, which make up a large portion of the waste, often go uncollected, further contributing to pollution and environmental degradation.
To tackle these challenges, creating a sustainable circular economy for plastic waste presents the most promising solution, particularly in a city like Da Nang, where the need for effective waste management is critical to safeguard our marine ecosystem.
At OceanWorks, we work with plastic waste collectors and recyclers globally and know how hard it is to turn mismanaged waste into quality resins and good business. The PWP partnership gave us an opportunity to validate the use of OceanWorks Impact Plastic Credit to help establish a new sustainable supply chain for the full plastic waste stream, including the lowest value plastic.
Plastic with Purpose brings together 3 organizations: IDE, a US-based nonprofit that specializes in using market-based solutions, as the administrative and technical partner; OceanWorks, a US-based company known for creating a trusted and credible marketplace for recycled plastics across the world; and Reform Plastic, a one-stop solution provider supporting entities around the world with the collection and processing of difficult-to-recycle materials. The initiative is funded by the Danish government under its Danida Market Development Program.
Since 2017, the DMDP program has supported 36 different commercially oriented partnership projects in 15 different countries. This includes the Plastic with Purpose project in Vietnam. We are excited about the role that this project is playing in bringing new business and technology innovations that can be scaled and replicated for sustainable impact in Da Nang.
The vision of Plastic with Purpose has been to cultivate plastic waste recycling as a profitable venture for everyone involved in the value chain, particularly for local waste collectors and small recycling business owners, while reducing the flow of plastic waste into natural environments in coastal cities of Vietnam.
At Reform, we're not only proud of being part of this meaningful project, but also proud of the achievements, especially the collector network. We now have supported over 1,200 workers, not only with providing PPE, but also with trainings, free health checks, and connecting to better and cleaner sources for the feedstock. Although the project now has come to an end, Reform will continuously support the informal waste workers and the collector network as a whole. We intend to scale it countrywide through the good experience we've made through this program.
The Plastic with Purpose partnership has raised the income of the participating market actors by an average of 40%, while also training them on responsible business conduct practices. The initiative has helped collect over 2,400 tons of plastic from the environment, with business models like master aggregator, processing an average of 200 tons a month.
Imagine a future where those working in the plastic value chain are valued, fairly compensated, and work in safe conditions. Cities become more livable, and beaches stay plastic-free. But the challenge is real. Only 5 to 10% of the 1.83 million metric tons of plastic waste produced annually in Vietnam is recycled. Da Nang is just the beginning. Together, we can drive this change.
You can stay seated. There's a microphone behind you. There's a microphone behind you, so you can stay seated if you want to use it. Wonderful. Well, judges, you've seen the application. You saw the video. Let's get into it. What are our questions? Great, Allison.
I think this works.
It worked.
Thank you for this, for that really impressive presentation, and for addressing and working to address one of the most crucial issues facing our time. I also very much appreciated the focus on lowest grade plastics as part of your strategy and getting to some of the biggest drivers of the problem of waste in Vietnam. One question I have is around the ingredients for success of this critical public-private partnership. And I was wondering if you could share more about the role of political leadership and buy-in to make this successful. Because we know in order for these partnerships to be resilient, that is an important part of success.
Thank you for your question. First of all, it's a great honor to be here to represent the partnership of IDE Ocean Works Reform Plastic, and of course the funder, the Danish government. To answer your question, the ingredients of success are many. One, we think this is the project that was co-created by not just us. IDE is not a typical NGO project, but it was co-created by IDE, an NGO, and of course the commercial partners who brings in technical expertise and also the business mindset. So we combine the social benefits with the business benefit to make it a successful project, and I think this is important. The other ingredient is that we have a great donor, the Danish government, who allows us to try so many things, and they are so flexible, so that us, IDE and our commercial partners can redesign the project when it needs to be redesigned to be more suited to the local context of Vietnam, which we didn't have that in other projects that we have in Vietnam. And the second part of your question is, sorry, can you repeat?
Regarding political will.
Oh, the political will. I think they played a very important role in our project. First of all, they gave us the enabling environment to work in. And it is important because everything we do, it has to be aligned with the local policies, with the direction that the government of Vietnam has been leading to. So luckily, what we've done with the project is pretty much in line with the government leadership in terms of supporting the informal sector in the waste management sector of Vietnam, and also they made our work so easy in the field because they are actually the implementer of our activities in terms of helping us to create awareness of people in terms of sorting waste at source. And making the collection of waste so organized so that the informal waste workers can get access to and can get profit from it. And of course, they would be the one that will continue our work in the field, because when the project is over, the business model will be carried on by our partners, Ocean Works and Reform Plastic, while the other initiatives implemented by the project, which is like a behavior change campaign for waste sorting at source, will be continued by the local government.
Great. I think we have time for one short question, if we can. It'll just turn on.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Trang, for all the great work, and once again, well done for the journey so far. My question, just quickly, if you can touch on your plan to ensure the financial sustainability of the program. What does that look like in the future for you in terms of funding to keep it going?
I think it is a great question. I think through this, presentation, we hope that we will attract more funding, of course. And what is important with the project is that, as I mentioned, the project initiative was driven by our private sector partners. And they would be the one in the field that will continue the work. And they will be the ones that, replicate this in Vietnam and in other countries. So that is key to our project, and that's why we brought in the private sector from the beginning. And I think from our lessons, which is shared, the other organization will know us and replicate what we are doing. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Trang, and I hope everyone heard her sneak in that they are accepting more funding. So if you have funding, lovely. Let's keep scaling that. It is a critical issue. We're going to turn now to the public-private partnership to improve professional education in Ukraine. When following the video, we'll hear from Yuliia.
Мене звати Лілія.
Яка твоя професія?
Електромонтажник.
Чому ти обрала цю професію?
Цю професію я обрала, тому що захотілося спробувати щось нове для себе.
Yuliia and her classmates are being trained as electricians by Alexander Pikolov. Even with the ongoing war, he remains committed to teaching at Kharkiv Lyceum to ensure his students receive proper training, develop relevant skills, and enter the labour market as qualified workers. Alexander regularly attends educational and practical conferences organised by the EDAP project.
Ми маємо змогу поспілкуватися з виробниками електротехнічної продукції, зрозуміти, як правильно монтувати їх обладнання, та потім впроваджувати свої знання, вже поширювати їх серед здобувачів освіти.
These training courses in electrical installation, welding, tiling and plumbing, like many other activities of the EDAP project, are supported by private partners. These partners supply tools, equipment, consumables, and provide experts who share their knowledge with the teachers.
Public-private partnership for professional education in Ukraine, or EDUP as we like to call it, Educational Up, is a project funded by the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation. As part of our public-private partnership, we are presently working with more than 40 Ukrainian and international companies, and that includes 6 associations as well. The uniqueness of this project is that this project is entirely private sector led.
This partnership is a win-win for business, says Alexei Rakov, Managing Director at Gaberit Trading LLC, the major private donor of the EDAP project.
We benefit by developing skilled workers trained on plumbing and sanitary technology, ensuring a steady supply of qualified personnel. At the end, the consumer has to receive the best products ever, and it's not only about the quality of the product, but it has to be installed properly.
Businesses in Ukraine have a critical need for skilled workers. With the ongoing war and the mobilization of men to the front lines, young people aged 18 to 25, war veterans, and women are now seen as the most promising employees. As a result, the demand for graduates from vocational schools is high, according to private sector representatives. The Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine, as the beneficiary of the EDAP project, highlights the project's uniqueness in addressing these challenges.
I think that it became super successful because we can see how many different businesses in the field of construction right now are getting closer to this project, trying to get into, to start the new phase of this project in the nearest years.
The EDAP team has discovered a simple yet powerful approach to public-private partnerships.
When students train on modern equipment supplied by private companies, they start their career more quickly. In return, businesses save on retraining and adaptation employees, and it allows them to develop their company and in the same time develop the economy. This approach works well in the peacetime, but during the war, it becomes crucial.
The Lyceum in Kharkiv was struck by Russian artillery, shattering 63 windows. 4 other project schools out of 29 also sustained damage. Therefore, due to the war, another component was added to the project. Now it is also focused on ensuring that classes are conducted in a safe environment. In cooperation with businesses, the project is renovating 10 vet schools in the regions located near the front line.
Не зупинятись – гасло нашого колективу. Ми впевнені, якщо ми зупинимо освітній процес, то завтра це відчує ринок праці. І Україна не буде мати кваліфікованих робітників для відбудови України.
Чого не вистачає в навчанні? Не вистачає живого спілкування, це зрозуміло. І також не вистачає практики. Тобто ми то навчаємося онлайн, але хотілося б більш практикуватися. І щоб це все було в безпечному місці.
Wonderful. All right. Any judges have questions for Edip and Yuliia? Payal?
Great. First of all, thank you very much for sharing your initiative. Really love the focus on both the supply side and the demand side, and being really responsive to the private sector needs. Can you talk a little bit about the graduation rate from training to employment? And can you also talk a little bit about how long the students you've worked with actually stay in their jobs?
Thank you for your question. And let me say that for me, it's I'm happy to present the achievement of our big team, and for me it's a big responsibility to do it. And I'll start from your second question: how long they stay? Yeah, it's some kind issue for employers, because of course they interested that students stay with them for whole their life. But we work with both, with the students, with the schools, with the businesses, and find the solution that it's not bad if the students change their work and develop their career. Because we make an accent that the main hero in any educational system is a student, it's a person. And for us, it's very important to support he or she in their professional development. So in general, it's I can't say that it's no matter how long they will stay, but for us, it's very important how they will feel themselves as professionals in the future. And will you be so kind to repeat your first question?
Yes, I was just wondering what percentage of students actually land in employment from your program?
Percentage, nearly 40. And it's, I'd like to say that increase this number because with each year we start close with businesses and find different solution how to make it longer. But according to the war in Ukraine, we have such situation when our youth go abroad, and it's a big issue for us. So in such case, if we stay in such percentage, it will be also our victory. Thank you.
Thank you, Yuliia, for such a nice presentation. I wanted to know more. I'd like you to shed more light on the challenges that you face when running this project, because during the presentation, someone said that she would like to maybe practice more as opposed to being online. So these challenges are obvious, and it happens during partnerships. So could you please share with us how you address these challenges in the course of the partnership?
Oh, thank you very much for your question, because it's our I think, best practice maybe, because we totally know how to develop and to survive in the same time. May I make a short example how we deal with this request for offline studying instead online? very short example. And in the second part of the 2022, when this full-scale war started, we have a total blackout, and there were no possibility to continue education. What we have done, we find a theater which exists on the shelter. And we gathered our teachers from all over the Ukraine. It were nearly 50 people. And we called to each our businesses and asked them, can you come to us to teach offline with all your equipment tools? They said, yes, we are ready because we are interested in continue education. Because if we will continue, tomorrow we will get the workforce, and this is crucial for them. And we do it and then continue. So we find a different solution how to continue the real effective education. And we will be happy to share it with any who need such help or advice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Wonderful. All right, thank you so much, Yuliia, and to Eat Up and all of your partners. Lovely. We're going to turn to Take the Lead with Alpida.
In a world where gender equity is rapidly advancing, Take the Lead is democratizing education for women globally. Every day, women represent the world's greatest growth opportunity. Yet every day, poverty, early marriage, and gender-based violence continue to prevent 122 million girls and women from accessing education. But every day there is hope. Over the past 25 years, girls' access to education has dramatically improved, closing a 4 percentage point gap in enrollment ratios. Meet Sally, who went from entrepreneur to successful restaurateur, creating jobs for 3 more women. Patricia, our partner in Brazil, is uniting women, proving that when women lead, communities thrive. Susan, our Maasai Take the Lead trainer, has inspired 300 women to challenge female genital mutilation. Aniya from Rajasthan used her Take the Lead skills to negotiate better opportunities for her artisan work and become a role model for her community. Since 2019, Take the Lead has evolved from an idea to a global partnership, driving transformative change for gender equity. Mihoho expands access to quality education for women, builds scalable global partnerships, integrates local culture, and measures growth. eCornell offers a digital platform with 26 comprehensive courses covering leadership, entrepreneurship, time management, and digital literacy. The L'Oréal Fund for Women supports Take the Lead with funding, ensuring the program's sustainability. 36 partners on the ground drive recruitment and adapt our program to local cultures. In the Take the Lead online educational format, women gain access to 26 eCornell courses, empowering them with essential skills through interactive asynchronous learning. In the street educational format, the Take the Lead trains local NGOs and trainers to deliver hands-on transformative education on leadership and entrepreneurship in rural villages. Today, the Take the Lead has empowered over 120,000 women across 155 countries, reaching 5,000 cities and remote areas. Today, the women uplifted face deep vulnerabilities, with a program supporting them to flourish against the odds. And that's because our theory of change is rooted in the belief that educated women drive civic and economic participation, leading to community empowerment and a ripple effect on the entire ecosystem. As witnessed the transformation, the numbers affirm that we are on the right path. That's why we invest in thorough, dedicated, data-driven monitoring and set benchmarks aligned with the SDGs and their layering targets. As of today, the Take the Lead has mobilized significant seed capital, dedicating $13 million in value and actual money. Our value proposition is that Take the Lead is scalable. It grows rapidly with cost effectiveness while delivering high impact. Looking forward to 2026, we aim to empower 300,000 women, providing them with Take the Lead scholarships and raise $3 million in funding to expand our impact. Year 2030 finds us more ambitious, and our goal is to empower 5 million women with scholarships and establish 60 Take the Lead educational centers across 155 countries.
For me, life was difficult and hard, but right now, as I talk about it, I think it's the most awesome thing. Life is what you take it in. When you are able to be grateful for who you are, what you have in, what will bring you to your future, I think you will be able to even enjoy it more.
All right, judges.
I'll start. No, thank you for that beautiful and inspiring presentation. My question for you is, part of what it looks like you're trying to accomplish is really disrupting the system by providing the opportunity for quality education and empowering communities to change the norms in society, which is really inspiring and so exciting. My question for you is, what is the future impact that you would like to see out of that work?
Thank you so much for your question. If you allow me 1 minute to thank first Concordia, Darden, and the US State for all this, because in the times that peace and democracy is so disrupted, I think speaking about partnerships, and not just for us, but all of us being here and all the applications, it's a message to the world. So thank you for that. Thank you, our partners, eCornell, and we have here one of our local partners on the ground, Patricia Zanella. You saw her in the video as well. I think that's the answer to your question. What my vision and our vision as a team is to break the stereotype that a woman who has grown up in a vulnerable situation or underrepresented community doesn't have the right to have quality education. And we work very hard on that together with eCornell and Cornell University that has shown us a lot of trust into bringing Ivy League school courses into every little corner of the world. Thank you for the question.
Thank you very much for sharing. I think all of us know that there are so many structural, institutional, sociocultural barriers when it comes to women being able to achieve the same educational opportunities. Can you talk a little bit about how your program addresses especially the sociocultural ones, and one of the biggest challenges that a lot of these women face is time poverty? There are lots of other constraints on their time, especially around elder care, child care. There's so many expectations. How do you help these women navigate so that they have the option and the opportunity to use these eCornell classes?
First, thank you so much for this important question. It touches upon what we do, actually. First, one very big part of what we do is the local partnership. So you see Patricia here today, but there are 36 more partners on the ground who run the programs, and they are the ones who bring the cultural feedback to us and to the whole group of people who work on the project. And secondly, what we noticed through these partnerships and all these years, because we found the scalable solution in 2019, but this whole thing started back in 2013. It was that time management is exactly the problem. So we introduced, one of the courses is time management. So it's the first course that we teach the women, so how do you manage time among all these roles, all these responsibilities, and how important it's basically to put some self-love, some self-investment, and you know, they become an inspiration to us who we never prioritize ourselves many times, right? And maybe we have the means to do it. So Sally, you saw in the video, I mean, every difficult moment, and not just me, but all the team is thinking of Sally and says, okay, life is beautiful, take it in. It's how you take it in.
Thank you.
Wonderful work, and thank you so much for this presentation. Inspiring video. I love how you integrated the stories of these women, but also put in the data, the numbers to show the reach and the scale of the program. Like, you are a global entity, and the reach is huge, so brilliant. And I think you answered my question on how did you scale to so many geographies in this time. And I'm interested into how you catered and localized the content so that it's relevant in these different countries, geographies, and culture, so that the program is scalable and truly global in nature, but at the same time addresses the local needs of women based on what the need and the labor market, demands and so on. So it would be great to shed light on how you were able to do that and strike this balance.
Lovely question. I think we've reached here after 11 years almost, because we are firm believers that feedback is making us better. So we try to open the ears on what we do wrong. So we ask our partners to tell us, our local partners to tell us what is not working. Okay, what is working we know, we see, we record, but tell us what is not working. It's very important because we want to make it better. And also, we, as much as we can and as much as funding is allowing us, we try to get ourselves down on the ground in every single corner, because we might have the feeling and the vision in front of us, but most of the times when we reach a place, that's where we learn the truth. That's where we sense what women need, what people need, what communities need, and they tell the story better than I can do than sitting here. Thank you.
Great. Wonderful. Next, we turn to the Challenge Initiative, and we'll hear after this video from George.
The Challenge Initiative is a platform that supports local governments in urban areas in Africa and Asia to implement and scale high-impact and sustainable family planning interventions. As Executive Director of TCI, Kojo Loko brings decades of experience in scaling up reproductive health programs. Here he explains how TCI supports local governments with coaching and easy-to-use guidance and tools from TCI University.
As a platform, the Challenge Initiative, or TCI, is not a traditional family planning service delivery project with a defined end date. The platform is multi-layered, focused on catalyzing the rapid adoption and scale-up of family planning high-impact interventions in urban areas through what we call a business-as-usual model. It is grounded in a comprehensive approach that aims to strengthen health systems for sustained impact. Our goal is to support the greater self-reliance of local governments to scale up high-impact family planning interventions, leading to sustained improvement in urban health systems and increased use of modern contraception, especially among the urban poor. TCI uses a self-selection process when partnering with local governments and requires them to commit politically and financially from the very beginning. We also use a locally led program design process for identifying critical gaps between best practice and actual practice when selecting the right mix of high-impact interventions. We developed TCI University, or TCIU, as a key mechanism for building capacity and strengthening health systems through coaching. TCIU is an online learning experience that includes easy-to-use toolkits with guidance for implementing and monitoring the interventions. It also has toolkits for strengthening capacity in leadership and program management and coordination, and an online community of practice. We identify coaches within the public health system and strengthen their capacity to continue beyond their direct engagement with TCI. Once graduated, the local government is well on its way to self-reliance while still having access to TCIU and coaching on demand. We continue to monitor them for sustained impact for a period of about 2 years.
TCI's key performance indicators show its scale and the impact it has had since launching in 2016. The platform is now active in 213 cities across 13 countries. TCI's work has contributed to an additional 4.6 million family planning clients, and it covers a population of 278 million. Finally, TCI-supported local governments have committed $72 million of their own resources to implement family planning programs. TCI's work would not be possible without strategic guidance and generous support from Bayer AG and other donors such as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
The exciting thing about TCI is that, in addition to family planning, the model can be applied to any health area related to maternal, newborn, or child health. We think we are an attractive investment for donors looking for a platform that can efficiently deliver scale, impact, and sustainability.
All right, judges, let's learn more about the Challenge Initiative.
I can start. First of all, thank you very much. Really exciting and love the model of especially local government putting skin in the game. I think that's incredibly important and incredibly powerful. Can you talk a little bit about the decision to focus on local government, say, compared to state or regional, and how you ensure that there is sustainability with that cohort that you're building capacity of? Because I imagine that there could be some turnover. So how do you continue to keep that buy-in and that kind of skin in the game?
Okay, great question. First of all, I'm just really thrilled to be here to represent the Challenge Initiative and all the partners that are involved in it. And thank you for the question. Now, as far as that goes, the way that the platform works is that a local city government self-selects. And the reason that we go at that level is because that's really the closest to the actual point of intervention, if you will. So the local government raises their hand and says, you know what, we want to be better at family planning. And so at that point, once the Challenge Initiative team goes in, does an evaluation, identifies gaps, and then starts the training. So it's both online with TCIU, but it's also with master coaches who go in personally and get everyone up to speed on all the different interventions. It could be something as simple as universal referral, where if somebody comes in and asks for a bathroom, that person will say, hey, do you want to talk about family planning as well? And so that's really how simple things like that, all the way to developing areas where they can actually deliver the family planning and do insertions or provide products as far as that goes. So the second part of the question, though, is in terms of the sustainability. So about 85% of the cities that graduate, and over 100 cities have graduated the program already, 85% of them continue to add new family planning clients over time. The 15% that don't, it's through a variety of things, change in the political situation in those cities. It could be from upheavals, those kind of things. But by and large, it does sustain. So the city joins the program, and 3 years later they graduate. They're monitored for an additional 2 years, and then they go on their own. But that's the part of the sustainability that's so exciting about it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Payal.
Allison, you're on the seat, edge of the seat. Go.
I am. I always am. George, thank you for this presentation and this really important intervention for public health. My question is around the excitement of building more smart health clinics and the role innovation can play to strengthen those kinds of opportunities. So my colleague here asked a question about sustainability. My question for you is, because there's been so many cases around the world where this seems to have been tested, can you share more about how this has been tested, how you've kind of continued to adapt, if so, the technology to be responding to local needs and strengthen that platform.
Sure, that's actually one of the really nice things that the Challenge Initiative does, is they work with the HMIS systems to get the reporting down so that you can actually have real-time data to make better choices at the local government level. So that's what they're doing now. They are exploring different approaches with AI, but they're also exploring going beyond family planning, as was alluded to in the presentation. They're also looking at vaccinations, maternal and child health, adding adolescent and youth sexual and reproductive health services, all those types of things centered around the woman, but going to adjacencies that make sense. So on the technology side, looking at that, but also on the service delivery side, also seeing how that can be scaled to make it the health system stronger overall.
Great. I have one more question.
Sure.
If my colleagues don't. And that's, so I'm an ex-banker, so I always think about risk. How are you mitigating the risk of increase in gender-based violence when it comes to family planning? Because often what we see is with increased family planning on part of the woman, gender-based violence increases.
That's a tough one. Unfortunately, with the programs that are out there, they're really focused more on the local government coming in and saying we want to be better at family planning. As part of the counseling and the like, we do have education around gender-based violence and that type of thing, but the focus of the program is really around the family planning side and trying to empower the local governments to be better at family planning. The gender-based violence component is a more challenging one to tackle at this stage, but that could definitely be something that we look to as we start to evolve the platform even more.
Thank you.
Sure. Great question.
Important question.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, so the idea of family planning varies from country to country when it comes to acceptance. So I'd like to know, in countries like underdeveloped or developing countries, how are you working around creating awareness about the importance of family planning for these women?
Oh, sure. So in terms of creating awareness and demand, the local governments take a lot of that onto their own hands. But one of the things that's done by the Challenge Initiative is they do that gap analysis, and they design the program for that city based on the local context. They're primarily in the urban poor communities, and so a lot of times what happens is, like when they do a facility makeover, the community gets involved and they become a part of cleaning the facility, painting it, putting in new furniture. It's one of those things that actually has a lot to do with getting the community involved. And then you have community health workers that go out and talk to other people and get them involved. And that's how they get the awareness out. That's how they do that in those areas. So
that's good. That's very important. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Perfect. Excellent questions, and of course we'll have more discussion, but before we get into that, thrilled to turn over to the fifth finalist partnership. This is Youth Empowered, and we'll watch the video and then hear from Adriana.
Located in southeastern Europe, Romania is European Union's 12th strongest economy in terms of GDP. Romania is also the country with the highest risk of social exclusion in all European Union, as a third of Romanians live in poverty or on the verge of it. As with many former communist countries, the situation in Eastern Europe is equally dramatic. Decades of political and economical upheaval have left deep scars, with social inequalities and poverty rates remaining alarmingly high. 40,000 children are in the care of the state, orphans, or simply admitted due to parents' total incapacity of providing for them. Approximately 3,500 young people leave the Romanian child welfare system each year. Only 1 in 40 young people who come out of the child protection system are legally employed, according to the Social Incubator NGO.
At the Social Incubator, we are more than just an NGO. We are a catalyst for change. Through a holistic approach that includes education, career guidance, psychological counseling, and life skills development, we prepare these youth not just for work, but for life. Our personalized one-on-one approach ensures that each participant receives tailored support to meet their unique and individual needs. Our mission is to empower them to take control of their futures. Youth Empowered is a lifeline that bridges the gap between education and real-world employment. by combining the social incubator's grassroots expertise with Coca-Cola HBC's extensive ecosystem and our collaboration with national educational and labor authorities, we've created a supportive system that uplifts these vulnerable groups. We believe in the power of collective action, public, private, and civil society working together, because it's the power of many that turns potential into achievement and dreams into reality.
The social incubator aggregates psychologists, vocational counselors, trainers, mentors, ambassadors of the association and volunteers in support of vulnerable young people. It also leverages a vast ecosystem that includes schools, employers, the National Child Protection Agency, the National Employment Agency, and other key partners.
Mediul educațional este esențial pentru viitorul copiilor noștri, însă mulți copii se confruntă cu provocări majore. Acești copii au nevoie de ajutor integrat, de îndrumare și de sprijin psihoemoțional pentru a-și construi încrederea în sine. Intervenția de Social Incubator a contribuit semnificativ la scăderea abandonului școlar, astfel acești tineri au reușit să-și deschidă orizonturile, să gândească un traseu educațional și profesional concret.
Colaborarea cu parteneri precum The Social Incubator și programul Youth Empowered ne permite să oferim nu doar protecție, ci și șanse reale de dezvoltare. Împreună, creăm un sistem de suport care le dă acestor tineri speranță și instrumentele necesare pentru a-și construi un viitor mai bun.
In 2017, the NGO partnered Coca-Cola HBC for the Youth Empowered Initiative, which is one of the great examples of transformative potential of public-private civil society partnerships.
Our partnerships with the Social Incubator and key national authorities isn't just about giving back. It's about building a stronger, more inclusive society. This is more than just a corporate responsibility project. It's a call to action for all of us to help create a future where opportunity knows no boundaries and every young person has the chance to rise, no matter where their journey begins.
The partnership aims to establish a legacy of positive social change and empowerment for future generations. One such person is Anna Vikovanu, a lady now in her 30s who was admitted in a social center at the age of 6. She joined the Social Incubator after receiving support and noticing on her own that this was an NGO which really helped her and the ones like her.
I grew up in an orphanage for 18 years. With a schizophrenic mother and an alcoholic father, I often felt like the odds were stacked against me. Youth Empowered not only equipped me with the tools, skills, and confidence, but it set the foundation to become a responsible person. That's when and how the Social Incubator stepped in. They didn't just offer me vocational training or counseling. They gave me hope and a vision for what my life could be. So I stayed in school, I graduated a technical university with a major in chemistry, and today I am proud to have built a successful career.
Over 41,000 young Romanians and more than 794,000 youth have participated in the #Youth Empowered programs in countries where Coca-Cola HBC operates. However, the work does not stop here, as the ultimate objective is to empower 1 million youth across 28 countries by 2025 through the Coca-Cola HBC.
I will start with the last statement, but first of all, thank you so much, Adriana, for being here and for representing the work. And it's honestly a project with multiple pillars that give us hope in tomorrow through these young people. How do you plan to reach 1 million people in 28 countries? So can you tell us a little bit more about the scalability of the model at the moment?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. But first, I want to echo what my colleague said. I'm very grateful and privileged to be here. Thank you for the recognition, the opportunity, and for giving us the stage and the place to talk about our work. 1 million youth by 2025, it's a huge objective, but we are already at more than 700,000. What we need, and I'm going to use the food pun that Mr. Debass used, we have a recipe that works. We have a recipe in terms of intervention, a very holistic and comprehensive approach that has not only relations with education, employability, but also with personal development and mental health and self-confidence when we're talking about vulnerable groups. And we also have a very strong partnership and partners in all the dimensions, public, private, civil society, that enhance the success of this program. And when we're doing the intervention, we're also embedding the principles of empowerment in local communities and local institutions. Now, Youth Empowered is a flagship initiative of Coca-Cola HBC, and it's already in 28 countries and the countries where they operate. Romania is in the group, the first one in terms of success and metrics and the stories, the lives that it has transformed. So when we're talking about replicability, that already happens in these countries, but differently. There are different target groups and different objectives. Maybe entrepreneurship. For us, it's education, employability, and mental health or self-confidence. This recipe that works can be replicated anywhere and everywhere because it doesn't have to be set by geographical boundaries. Why? Because you have target groups that you can adapt. There are cultural differences, of course, and there are different local and economical backgrounds, but you can take that and adapt because it's so holistic. And then the partnership, you can find the partners in those regions, you can empower them, and you can replicate the model.
Thank you very much for sharing the project, and thank you for going into more detail in your answer around the outcomes you're seeking. I'm just wondering, in your measurement, how long do you follow the young people that you've been working with, and can you give us a little bit more color in terms of the medium and longer term impacts on the individuals themselves?
Absolutely. Working in such a complex project, of course, monitoring, evaluation, and learning is a crucial aspect of our work. And we're looking both quantitative and qualitative. And when we're looking at numbers, we're looking at attendance rates and completion rates and the number of people that go through the program. And this is a continuous monitoring. And then we're looking also at skills and competence building and transfer. And this is a pre and post implementation assessment, not only self-assessment and individual feedbacks, but also data gathering from our local, like the foster care system or the schools or the Ministry of Education. So this is a very comprehensive data gathering. But we're also looking at social change and behavioral change because we're talking about transforming lives. And we're looking on how they are involved in local communities, what they do further, if their self-confidence grew. It's all of that for the beneficiaries, and it's a program that transforms lives. And I have Anna, Anna in the video was one of our first beneficiaries, and she's here now with me in New York, and she was able to join us because and it's not Youth Empowered's merit. It's not our merit, it's theirs, because potential and opportunity is everywhere. Potential and talent, sorry, but opportunity is not. So we just created a vector that gives these youth opportunities. So she's here, and others like her succeeded, and they became the best versions of themselves. Because when we invest in our youth, we actually invest in the future of us all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I think that was a truly inspiring line that in some ways mirrors many of the partnerships up here. At the end of the day, we are investing in individuals, old or young. Those individuals carry forth that community impact, that growth, and that create the world that we are trying to live in. And at the risk of being too kumbaya, I think that's just a really beautiful, motivating piece for us all to take away from this. I want to just give another round of applause to these extraordinary speakers, because it is not easy. It is not easy presenting life work in 5 minutes to an audience with bright lights, and they've done a fantastic job. So I do encourage people to connect after this as well, to learn more about their work, to learn more how to get involved. What we're going to do now is take about 15 minutes and collectively talk. This is a learning space. We want to hear from the judges some of the things that they've picked up through line from these conversations? We'll want to hear from our finalists, of course, anything that they think they may have learned from each other or that they want to ensure is a message brought out. And importantly, I want to absolutely hear from Tomas and Vidya about how this work is reflecting or shaping what both Darden and the U.S. Department of State are working towards. Anything compelling that really stood out in your own analysis and partnership-driven work in the world. So, yeah, let's just have a little coffee chat in this cabaret lounge. Anyone want to kick us off? Payal?
Yes, I can start. First of all, congratulations to all of you. Really, really phenomenal presentations. And our host wasn't joking when he said we have a tough job ahead of us in scoring this. I think one of the common threads I saw across all 5 presentations was this commitment to testing, learning, and iterating.
Yeah.
But that's really hard to do, to be agile, to be quick, to be data-driven enough that you know what's working and what's not. I would love if the panel, if the innovators could talk a little bit about their test, learn, and iterate journey and share some of the things that did work for them in that journey so that others can really embrace that agility.
Payal, I just wanted to finger that. Trang, you specifically called out that your funding partner allowed for kind of a review process, right? And a lot of back and forth also. And I think that testing journey, funding is tied to that, right? And so how did those conversations go? How many of you have that type of freedom or flexibility across your current projects or past ones? I mean, just, I think that is an important piece too. So, anyone? Only one of you has a microphone.
Yeah, for us, as I mentioned, we were lucky to have such a flexible funding partner. As I also mentioned, the project was co-designed by IDE and our commercial partners from the business side. Because of the pandemic, we couldn't do a proper market analysis, so we designed the project with assumptions. And for business to work, it has to be based on the real context of the market. So after a while, we met up and we did another analysis of the market, the informal sector of solid waste management, and we decided to redesign the whole strategy of the project. And we were lucky to have the support of the funding partner, and they said that, make sure that what the commercial partners could operate in the local context, which means that we brought in a new idea, the new strategy would totally, affected the whole target of the project. The total KPI, the KPIs that we promised at the beginning of the project were not correct anymore. So we came up with a new KPIs, and we were lucky to be able to discuss that and to get a green light from the funding partners to go forward with. And that's why we brought in the credit framework that OceanWorks wanted to introduce into Vietnam. That was not from the beginning of the design, which for us, created a new opportunity for a new financing mechanism for the sector, which is really underfunded in Vietnam. We brought in the master aggregator, which is like a central point for collection of waste, where we can collect the informal actors, and most of them are women, from the vulnerable groups, and they can connect to the master aggregator, and they can access to new income opportunities through connecting with companies like OceanWorks and Reform Plastic. And I don't think we could do that without the green light from the funding partners. And also, we were flexible enough, we were adaptive enough. It doesn't mean that, if we get the green light from a funding partner, we can do whatever we can do. But it has to be based on a sound market analysis and also the agreement that came from IDE and our wonderful partners here. So the new design was totally based on the real context of the market, which proved to be like realistic, more realistic, and sustainable.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else want to speak to iteration, testing, trials, tribulations?
I had just one idea to add about the funders, and we're working with a very strong company, right? And when we're talking about funding, of course they bring essential resources and financial resources, but we need to look at our funders like somebody that brings so much more. They bring expertise, they bring volunteers, they bring the whole ecosystem on their value chain. In our case, they bring the employers, they work with their clients, with their suppliers, and they need to be the first ones to believe in our youth. And I think the world will change where these companies will be more and more like this. It's not corporate social responsibility, it's creating shared value, because together as partners and together as friends, we can change the world. And it's just an idea that I wanted to add.
Yeah. May I love the commentary as part of the donor community. One of the things that a lot of organizations and the folks that you guys are mentioning about make the mistake of engaging with donors is that folks go to donors looking for money. And that's really not, first of all, there's a procurement rules. You can't just roll up to people and say, give me money, right? But the most important thing, I think,
at Concordia,
but I think what you ought to do is always, behind these donors, there's an entire network of players. So what you can ask is the generosity of their network, not necessarily of the donors themselves, right? Because governments have access to companies, foundations, or what have you. So one of the most, satisfying things that at least as an office we do is actually connecting people, because these sometimes public institutions play an honest broker role where someone would tell us this amazing project, and we could say, hey, I've heard the Merck Foundation was talking about this, or Gates was talking about this, or Coca-Cola was talking about it. Let me connect you those type of that. So sometimes come with a wider aperture of looking at things versus saying, I have a need for funding, can you just give me money? That people lose their appetite to engage with you. But if you ask them, I have this problem, can you help me solve it? And I said, I might not be the right one, but I have a partner or an associate that can help you with that. So always widen your kind of approach on looking for scale, looking for leverage and what have you. So
Maggie is here. Maggie Morse, she's the director for the IBIS at Darden. And with her, there's a whole team that works. And we've always had these conversations about, we've done this for a decade. What can we look ahead by looking back? What have we seen? Or one of the things that we got from things that have come up in the past, the whole things have moved also a lot, is there are partnerships that find what, Tomas, that you're talking about, right? That way to make the connection, that find the way to get a mission that's bigger than themselves, right? And almost all of you, surprisingly this time, has a plan, a recipe that says this is not just for this particular community, but for something else that you can take. That forward thinking you've done. And that's one of the things that when we were looking at what the research might come up with, it said, it's great when it's in that box, but we don't find, it's around 40-ish% that grow both vertically, which means expand their services. Like you're doing one, you do one more thing in that area because there's need. And horizontally, which means go to another location that may also need that service. So that's around like the 38-40%. Good. There's 35-ish% that says, we are able to do more because we learned what we are doing there. That's something that you would expect. Hardly anyone just moved horizontally. We rarely found that, right? And close to 25% then just shut shop after doing what they're doing. Now, I'm not saying this is bad or good. All I'm saying is, if you have that plan like you got talking about, and you can find and make that connections, then the next person who comes in and the next partnership that comes in does not have to learn everything that you had to learn, but takes it from there and goes to the next stage. And which is why when I was looking at it and saying, hey, this is a recipe, you can use it anywhere. This is a toolkit, we can use it anywhere. This is something that you can replicate. It felt so good. It felt great. You just took my talking point, but that's fine. It was a wonderful thing that you're already thinking about it, which we did not hear a few years back.
I wonder how much COVID shifted that mindset and that design process, because COVID obviously disrupted the way public-private partnerships ran. We couldn't connect with our partners. Everyone was, just going through it. Tiger King was on TV. There's just a lot happening. And I think I'm starting to see this shift that Vidya's alluding to that shows this flexibility, this adaptation, this recognition from the design, the early days of design of a partnership, that adaptation and transfiguration is probably a phase 2, a phase 3 planning. And so, yeah, I just want to, that's a really great point, and I'm glad you brought data to back it up.
And that's because of what we are doing. When you bring up what you did and others here, that's exactly that learning process that comes up here.
Thank you. May I touch upon the COVID-19 issues? I think what we truly see shifted from this world, I don't know how to say, incident was a mindset. I believe what happened maybe put us humans to see a lot inside us, challenged with many things, and potentially shift our behaviors. And we see that in our daily work at the Take the Lead partnership, because when we come upon challenges or we need to iterate things, what we see after COVID-19 is less judgmental people. People are more understanding. People are trying to get in the shoes of the other person. They are coming together, and that was something that was not happening, at least to our daily work before. So, they're saying coin has both sides, some, good and bad, and trying to be an optimist, I think, keeping the bright side of things. I think all of us here, maybe we do something similar to navigate this work every day. I don't know if someone else.
Yeah, Yuliia, please.
Our project was initiated by business, and it's really for us a strong side. And it showed that the businesses honestly show their needs and ask to satisfy it. And what was the motivation of initiate such social project? Of course, the first is to develop the business, but the basic one to, as we discussed, to make this world better. And what we find really with collaboration with businesses, that if we ask business to support, to help, they always said, okay, yes, we agree, we will help you, we will support, it's very important. But they, first of all, think about the charity in such way. And if we talk about the charity, it's not sustainable. It's like once, twice, and this is it. It's not the partnership. And what we find that a lot of businesses can't really find the difference between charity and partnership. And if we talk about their public-private partnership, that means that both sides developing, both sides win-win, it's about the partnership. And we find this issue, and we provide a lot of meetings and invite to these meetings businesses, government, schools, make this dialogue and shows the opportunity of charity and partnership. And we are glad that our partners choose a partnership. Thank you.
Yeah. Wonderful. We are nearing time. There's so much more to unpack. I do want to encourage folks to head on over to the Darden website. There's this amazing webpage, Ideas to Action, and it goes into a deeper dive on each of these 5 partnerships and captures some of the real innovations that stood out to the judges in the initial process. I'm going to release the judges to go do the hard work of today, and we really look forward to announcing the P3 Impact winner for 2024 at tomorrow's morning. morning session. So thank you again, thank you again, thank you again, and yeah.